cosplaying as your favorite slice of life anime. If I see you doing this, I'll summon you intentionally so I can kick you for my world. Dexterity. Do you enjoy katanas? How about double katanas, each one longer than the last, using realistic, historically accurate sword techniques from feudal era Japan? What about epic PvP compilations? Say no more. Get a river of blood today. Intelligence. Some would say a great deal of their enjoyment comes from learning the moveset of every boss. A rhythmic dance between sword, swipe, and parry. A lethal symphony, silenced only by death. Others would disagree. I'm confident that if you ask any player running sorcery what's their favorite boss, they'll recoil in surprise and say, I don't know any. I just sit at the back and spam Azure Comet. Faith. Incantations are very good. Abusing the animation of Catch Flame to cast them instantaneously is even better. And before you say it, I know. It's working exactly as intended. You know what else is intended? This. Also this. And this. My greatest enjoyment of this game, beyond the exploration, the richness of the graphics, and the scale of the world they made, has been abusing every mechanic I possibly can before it gets patched out. And so, inevitably, I have taken to abusing other players. You might call them humans. I call them people who use Moonveil unironically. And thus, I feel no remorse for any of my actions. In summary, Elven Ring attracts many different responses. Some fillet the long shaft of FromSoft endlessly. Others hate it because of their own incompetence. Walking manifestations of a Dunning-Kruger effect, these people believe that failure is not their own and somehow inflicted upon them by the universe. You can't be bad at video games, as video games are merely a subject matter. No, that is a deficit in your cognitive ability, something that likely plagues you in every aspect of your life. In summary, if you're bad at video games, you're bad at life. You've got a smooth brain and a low IQ. Your fate is to be a grunt in the New World Order. And then there's others, like me, who are quietly waking up to the fact that maybe we should have never dropped those bombs to begin with. I guess what I'm trying to say is Elden Scrolls 10 out of 10 garbage. I love it. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. If you're interested in some merchant multiplayer, password FUGHUNT goes in all fields. First 50 to invade get a 15% off their first month of FUGHunters.com, the official sponsor of this video. And now, allow me to conclude this presentation with some calming visuals. Rest assured, most of the things seen here can
bullshit,
no longer
dude.
be afflicted on another human being. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild generously funding and bankrolling these videos. You're all truly wonderful. Have a good one.
Yeah, I was about to go to see what else he has.
Hey, people. Hey, Star Sisters. Seth here. Let me tell you a vision of the future.
Star Sisters.
White boys can finally jump with the help of a booster pack and of course, low gravity. Humanity has spread across the stars in their multitudes of diverse races and cultures. The Red Guard, the Sons of Yakub, Hispanics, honorary Aryans, and the Fingolian Chindonesians now populate the vast expanse of space. Naturally, we never did find a solution for automation. So in the future, the only career paths are space pirate with a voice filter, or religious extremist. Parents send children away with teary eyes, knowing full well their offspring will grow up to become murderous bandits before putting on their own helmets and shooting up the 7-Eleven. And the PS5 still has no games. That vision is already here, Star Sisters, because the best game ever made, no, the best game that will ever be made is already out, and there's no competition. Baldur's Gate? More like free hour, unskippable gay sex scene. Starfield, a masterpiece where I can live out my fantasy of being a Bangladeshi man with A10 eyes. Starfield wins Game of the Year for their food models alone. Just look at the grease on that sausage. That's the difference ray tracing makes in a game like this, which runs buttery smooth on my 4090, pushing a blazingly fast 17 frames a second. I'm quite fine with this since, according to the science, the human eye can only see 24 frames a second. Sometimes my saves get corrupted and I lose progress, but in my deep unhappiness I realize I get to have those unforgettable experiences all over again. We must imagine that we are Sisyphus, pushing the boulder forever uphill, for in the struggle we find meaning. Ask not what Todd Howard can do for you, but instead what you can do for Todd Howard. A good game has memorable characters, but an amazing game is one where you don't remember a single person at all. Starfield is to role-playing what dementia is to the elderly. The strongest skill in this game, following tradition, is persuasion, which lets you walk away from the last fight by saying, "What if we don't?" This system works by stringing random sentences together with a cadence of a crackhead until the recipient gets visibly uncomfortable and leaves, something that Highfleet would shamelessly steal. The true purpose of persuasion, however, is to gaslight companions. Sarah is strongly opposed to the harm of innocent people, so, appropriately, in the style of a cartel execution, I ventilate someone's cranium. She screams at me.
What the hell is the matter with you?
I persuade her that I'm sorry and I'm going to do better.
I'm not sure there's anything you can say at this point. As strange as that sounds, I suppose that's possible. Look, I realize things out here can be rough, so I'm going to let this go. For now.
And then I do it again.
I accept who you are. I'm just not sure I can travel with you on this path you've chosen.
This is, single-handedly, the most entertaining thing in this game.
Just try to be more careful in the future. Otherwise, you'll find yourself traveling alone. I am not going to help you murder you and I.
The second most entertaining thing in this game is joining the pirate faction as a double agent, and in the process, becoming a triple agent. I have chosen to join the war on terror. On the side of terror, I can play entire missions without shooting a single shot, because guess what? Half the entire game is now friendly to me. I watch caravans get lit up with the same interest as a youth in the project witnessing a drive-by. The streets give, and the streets take. Story. I've had paranoid hallucinations with more coherence than the plot of this game. Spoiler, it's Skyrim in space. You must become Starborn to use the magical Fus Ro Dah to kill Parthenax, who in this case is other Starborn from other universes that you must defeat to go to another universe and start New Game Plus. Multiverse theory is appealing to fans of Rick and Morty because it implies the existence of a dimension where you haven't been molested. There's copium online that there's differences between universes and no run is the same. Yes, one place in the game changes. The emissary is always whoever dies in your current run, and there's a universe where Sarah is a potted plant. Objectively, this is the best universe because she doesn't talk. Yet, I heard some people even romanced this creature. If you find such dialogue captivating, I recommend intimacy with a drywall. My favorite part of the story was attending a funeral, only to interrupt it by starting a firefight. Almost everyone involved is an essential NPC, so the shootout will never end. Question: when we have an infinite amount of universes, that means we have no consequences. Anything we do can be undone by walking through a portal. So why can't we kill essential NPCs? Why even have a setting if you're not going to make use of it? This aggravates me to no end because everyone I want to shoot is a higher entity made of light. For example, there's a side quest where a 200-year-old ship from Earth, developed before the invention of a grav drive, has reached the planet resort of Paradiso. You negotiate on their behalf and are given three options. 1. Send every colonist to work as an indentured slave for the corporation. 2. Pay out of pocket for a grav drive and send them to bother someone else. Or 3. Eliminate the last practicing Jew in the universe. I'm not making this up. There's a colonist on board who's preserved Hebrew rabbinical teachings. And the third option is the corporation asking you to destroy the ship. What the Austrian painter started, Todd will finish. What is this quest design? You present me with three terrible options, and my immediate response is to shoot up the board of directors. But I can't, because I'm not allowed to, because the talent in this company has dried up and left a long time ago. But it doesn't matter because Bethesda spits out a game every few years for their target audience. Dads. I get it. You have 2 kids, you're in your mid-30s, and you have time for exactly 3 games a year. I don't judge. We're all busy. But this game is immune to criticism because the people you're arguing with don't have that much time or investment. They see a crater, they soy pog, and then they leave. That's why if somebody defends this game, don't give them a hard time. They have it hard enough already, between beating their spouse and their children. And they still say, man can't multitask. Gameplay. This game features challenging and intriguing puzzles such as fit the shape into the shaped hole and replace the battery. Considering the majority of Xbox players have never replaced a smoke alarm, this is a novel concept, as it requires higher abstraction to deduce that the ubiquitous chirp in the hallway is in some way quantum connected to the set of Duracell batteries you hold in your hand. Clearly, I didn't pay enough attention during character creation, as once I finished the game, I was very surprised to hear my character's voice.
You made it. I hope you're enjoying the view.
Not like I missed anything. All the perks are garbage. Wanted is one of 2 perks that actually does anything, because you get bounty hunters chasing you. The other being kid stuff, which gives Americans the experience of 2 loving parents that aren't divorced. For the nation holding the world record in broken homes, a stable family is science fiction. I spent a bunch of time modding guns, only to find out that guns don't scale whatsoever. Attachments on lower level weapons are a waste of time. Let me tell you how you're actually supposed to do it. You fly into a level 75 zone, but instead of being insta-killed, you cast Creator's Piece, which makes enemies drop their guns. You bring them back, tweak them on a workbench, and now you no longer have to complain about bullet sponges. Personally, I enjoyed shipbuilding. Yes, I'm aware of a hollow ship exploit, but I didn't really need it, because all I ever do is one-shot the engine with electromagnetic and board their ship, after which I disarm them with Creator's Piece and individually fistfight the entire crew. It's really fun, and if I cast Parallel Self, I can roleplay as if we're having a civil dispute at the Bangladeshi border. I found out companions don't use ammunition, which is convenient because for some reason this game lets you craft everything except ammunition, some of which is highly specific and not sold by most vendors. In contrast, crafting ingredients are sold by the dozen, trivializing their collection and destroying any incentive you had to find them yourself. So, I thought it would be interesting to try make my outposts self-sufficient, using only the resources I could find. It took me 2 full days before I found a planetary source of sealant. For reference, this is a common organic ingredient necessary for most structures. And where did I find it? Middle of nowhere on a toxic bio, meaning I needed to reach the bottom of a science tree and have free tiers into planetary habitation before I could make planetary habitation. So, in case you're ever tempted to do what I did, don't. I remember once I saw a Live Leaks video of some Chinese farmers throwing pigs into an open pit and setting them on fire with kerosene. Starfield allows you to not only recreate this video, but use it for infinite experience. What I did was set up several alien breeding facilities and boxed them in. Then, I built a macro script to throw incendiary grenades at set intervals, firebombing all the cows, waiting for them to respawn, only to firebomb them again. I can leave my desk and come back several levels higher. Generally, however, outpost development is a hellish experience, and that's because the game has no system to track how much you need and what you need. Your best bet for memorizing a recipe is using pen and paper. The alternative to that is jumping across load screens, walking to the vendor, buying what you assume is enough, returning to the outpost, only to find out you're missing like 2 adhesive and need to go all the way back. This game is an exercise in how many load screens can you tolerate before choosing to end it all. No wonder nobody ever got that Steam refund. We spent 2 whole hours docking and undocking. There's a lot of these transitional animations, and it's not that they're painfully goddamn slow, it's that I can't skip them. I understand that this is a small indie company and maybe resources are stretched thin between the award-winning dialogue and the NPCs that hit you with that fluoride stare. But when the solution is so simple and obvious, you can't help but ask, what's going on at Bethesda? Despite having no access to the construction set, the modding community has managed to fix many of the issues. However, even if they do release the toolset 6 months down the line, I don't really trust this company to not screw me over. Remember, the only reason we don't have paid mods is because of pushback. Believe me, they'll try again. The only potential redemption of this game is the release of a full construction set, because the only way the fans could save this game is to wipe it clean and make something else. Look, I figured it out. I know why I'm so angry. I'm not angry at the game. It's not even that bad. I'm angry because I paid $100 for it. The king of a chess club has done it again. Each time I tell myself, no, not this time. But I already know. Todd's gonna tell me lies. Tell me sweet little lies. And each time, I listen. I understand I've said some polarizing things, but in truth, I just needed a video because I signed a lot of contracts while drunk. So don't take anything I say seriously. It's all bait. But what if it isn't? What if it's actually my unfiltered dogshit opinion? As always, more content to come because I'm legally obligated. A warm thanks to the many members of a merchant. Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be reviewing the Elder Scrolls free Morrowind. It's been years since the Outlanders came in and conquered our lands. Every day since, I've been persecuted for my superior beliefs and culture. If it weren't for the... Hey people, Seth here. Why do we mine? What compels us to seek out the deepest and darkest of holes and make them even deeper? Is it the fat riches, the lack of bitches? I'll tell you, it's in our nature as men, as short kings. We crave violence, we crave alcohol, we crave that mineral. And if you share these cravings, then I want you to sign on with Deep Rock Galactic. We've got danger, darkness, and dwarves. Deep Rock is easily the best cooperative game I've ever played, and like it or not, I'm gonna tell you about it. So, sit back, relax, and have a beer. But so help me God, if you order a fucking Leaf Lovers, I'll throw you in that hoop myself. Put yourself in our shoes. We want more gold, but child labor can only get you so far. When the planet itself resists your advances, the mines go dark, radio's silent, and children onto milk cartons. How do we deal with such a hostile work environment? We send in the dwarves. You play as one of 4 combat miners, sent into the most dangerous planet in the galaxy.
Yeah! Suck it!
But the planet hasn't exactly laid out a landing strip for you.
Yeah, you ugly sluts.
America, the entire
Yeah!
is our property.
Is air humping
Pesticide.
against Twitch's fucking
get the job done.
terms
And
of
most
service?
importantly, leave no dwarf behind. Unfortunately, this is not reflected in company policy. Good luck out there. Here at Deep Rock Galactic, we love our essential workers, classes. Every self-respecting mining operation needs a digger. Sorry, my mistake. That's your word. My digger. He's got all the equipment you need to dig those holes. Here's my build. Full freeze gun. EPC built for thin containment field. That
I don't like positive game reviews, dude. He likes this game too much.
Hello, this is a re-upload. Hey, people. Seth here. I did my part. We all did our part. But it wasn't enough. It's been 3 years since we killed God, and we're still no closer to reclaiming our world. The aliens may be gone, but the monsters they've left behind have made life all but impossible. The world is ruled by monsters. At this point, maybe we are the invaders, and they are the EDF now. Wait, what? 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 The Earth Defense Force 6 begins now. This game has finally been released outside of the theocratic dictatorship known as Japan, where the personal computer is a heretical relic, and releasing a good PC port is considered apostasy. Luckily, the developers aren't getting excommunicated, as this game, which is about 80% EDF5 by volume, somehow has a worse PC port. And despite not being an Epic exclusive, this game uses Epic Online Services for its multiplayer. Ah yes, let me just sign in with my Lego account. You can't turn this off, and every time you get an achievement, it locks your controls and you die. We are so back to the past, because that's where we're going. Now, you'd think the phrase EDF plus time travel would be a good tone indicator for this experience, but you'd be wrong. Watching this game unfold is like giving a 20 to your local tweaker. After the gas station dick pills and 2 hits of Bang Energy kick in, it's impossible to predict his next move. And yet, it's straight. Defense Force 6 innovates on the EDF format of reusing 90% of the last game by having you time travel back to literal copy-pasted EDF 5 missions. The entire intro is a highlight reel of brain rot from the previous title.
In these 5 months, humanity has lost 30% of its population.
30%. That's still not too bad.
And since my mind has blocked out all of the memories as a trauma response, it still hits just as hard. From a premise, you'd think we'd bring back some kind of super weapon or strategy. But remember, this is a universe where everyone eats glue, including the aliens. What we've brought back is far more valuable. Advice. Advice, such as shoot the glowing weak point. In the original timeline, this took the EDF months to figure out. Your guidance helps a little, but the aliens are sending new enemies back in time as well. We're playing a game of quantum chess, but every player is retarded. So, What's new? Not much. Welcome to EDF. You get one new mechanic and quality of life features which should have been there from the start, like these new damage numbers. So now I can see I'm doing exactly 1 damage. The Ranger can now turn while sprinting. This took years of programming. Everyone gets a new backpack weapon slot, so now you can actually use all the stupid shit that would have otherwise cost you an entire slot. Backpack weapons also reload passively, so now you don't have to hold it out for a real-life minute to reload your turrets. This entire series is built on breaking you down, to the point where I'm giving praise each time something gets marginally better. Wing Diver gets an infinite durability, spammable shield that blocks everything. Its intended purpose is to survive attacks and get some breathing room. Its actual purpose is to grief your teammates. Playing Air Raider causes a unique form of brain damage, where all of your dopamine pathways remap to prioritize Big Bomb at the cost of self-preservation. EDF 5 tried to fix this by adding more limpet guns and a third weapon slot. EDF 6 has given up completely. Now you have an entirely new category. Hey people, Seth here. I'm happy to report that your application
Hey people, it's Paul Anthony Romero here.
Hey people, Seth here. Shout out to my man, Paul Anthony Romero, the actual composer for the entire Might and Magic series. He made like 9 takes of this intro. Bless your autism. Today, we're doing 2 things for the first time. One, I'm re-reviewing Might and Magic 6, The Mandate of Heaven. Why?
Great
Because my
game.
original wasn't very good, so I took it down. Completely unrelated, but it also featured hardcore pornography in the first few milliseconds. 2, I'm not actually reviewing Might and Magic 6. I'm reviewing Might and Magic 6 inside Might and Magic 8. Listen, it's complicated. Some time ago, a madman decided to merge Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8 inside the Might and Magic 8 engine, and mod the shit out of it. How does it work? No idea. My coding experience is limited.
Would you like to buy something? See ya, cheapskate.
But it's very fun. All you need is a copy of Might and Magic 8 Day of a Destroyer from GOG and to follow the instructions linked below. Right, let's get to the meat of it. Seth, why you playing a bunch of first-person RPGs more than 2 decades old?
I don't know.
Because nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and my emotional cortex is holding me hostage, falsely associating the first time I ever played these games with the positive connotations of being a child. That's why I'm here right now, walking through a gray-brown corridor, searching for a tiny button on the wall the color of puke that will help me access the next part of this endless, featureless abyss. That's also why there's grown-ass men out there wearing Zelda t-shirts in public, because they played before life got complicated, and they relate it to a simpler time. Before mom and dad got divorced, before dad caught yellow fever, and came back with a new mommy from the Philippines. The mod, titled World of Enroth, lets you start in any one of the free games, allows you to travel across worlds, and complete all the storylines.
I suppose you'll be wanting Satterface. Don't mind the rats.
The lore explanation for this is that the other 2 groups of heroes have been accidentally written out of time. This might sound ridiculous. On the other hand, I'm in a universe where I'm spending all my time getting the approval of the medieval United Nations, so I Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be covering a game from a series that's very special to me. But much like the nice girl you knew back in high school, she eventually went broke, destitute, and sold herself off to the French. And now, you barely recognize her. I'm talking about Heroes of Might and Magic 5, released in 2006 by Ubisoft. So, what happened? How did we get here? Well, Freedio, who had the license for Might and Magic, went bankrupt. So, Ubisoft bought the license, gave it to Naval, a sweatshop developer located in the Siberian gulags and asked them to make a game as quickly as possible with no regard for human life. And since Slavs are trained from birth to play Heroes Free on a competitive level, the developers were a good choice for developing a successor to the series. Unfortunately, the demands of a sweatshop took their toll, and by the end of it, most of the development staff were either dead or missing. The lead programmer got mauled by a bear while picking berries in the forest. Two of the artistic leads fell down a well and kept falling, and the designer got kidnapped by a gargoyle. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, this is entirely true. I even wrote an entire wiki article to prove it. Despite such hardships, Naval did manage to make a beautiful and pretty interesting game. Let's begin. Story. Heroes 5 takes place in the world of Ashan, which has no connection to Heroes Free 4 or the rest of the Might and Magic franchise, because we get a much more interesting and non-generic setting instead. Here's a quick rundown of this compelling story. Ashan is under attack by demons. Your husband, the king, is killed by demons. You are now queen. You resurrect your dead husband. Then you kill your undead husband. You get kidnapped by demons. Then everyone kills the demons. And everyone lives happily ever after in the Pony Kingdom of Equestria. Friendship is magic. You might think I'm lying about that last part. Guess what? I'm not. What an engaging, engrossing plot. But what would you expect from the lead writer of such prestigious titles such as My Horse and Me 2 and the celebrated cult classic Horses? Thank you, Jeff Spock. Thank you for your service to humanity. You know what? I'm gonna quickly rewrite the story of Heroes 5 into something much more coherent.
Spasmaticus, a young king on a mad quest to
Pick a faction, pick a hero, and play. Unlike Heroes Free, your heroes can now attack monsters directly, but unlike Heroes 4, they can't be murdered on the battlefield. And they get a crazy, over-the-top skill wheel progression system as they level up, which is never explained inside the game, and you have to use third-party fan software to even know the existence of such a thing. Oh yeah, and you no longer have to micromanage every single neutral dwelling in town. You can now send caravans to the town of your choice and just pick up your troops later. It's very self-explanatory. There's 8 different factions to play, 6 in the base game, plus Fortress and Stronghold from the expansions. Everybody gets a massively scaled town, which spits out units for them each week. Every town also gets an amazing orchestral theme song, except Stronghold. Each time I reinstall the game, I have to realize this all over again. Stronghold's music sounds like some royalty-free ambient background noise. It sounds like elevator music in a fantasy-themed 2-star hotel. So each time I have to go into my music folders and replace it with something more appropriate.
Ram Ranch, it rocks. Cowboys love big herds driving cocks.
As you may have noticed, the town camera pans around on its own. It's actually one of my favorite things in this game, especially since the camera tracking syncs up with the music, but I'll show that off at the end. Every faction gets 7 units from Tier 1 to Tier 7, all of which can be upgraded. Tribes of the East adds side grades too, which means there's now 2 upgrades to choose from. Most of these range from interesting to what flavor of energy drink do you want your units to look like? Let's talk about the factions. Haven. These are the humans. They're very standard, very European, and generally quite solid. Some might think the strongest unit in the Haven arsenal is the Angel. However, that's completely fucking wrong. Yes, a celestial being sent to enact the will of God is pretty good, but can she pay taxes? I don't think so. No, the strongest unit under Haven's direct command is the humble peasant. The real heroes of Might and Magic are taxpayers. They contribute their monthly wages to provide you with security, social services, and of course, roads. Without peasants, we wouldn't have much of a country. Yes, it's only 1 gold per peasant per day, but if you let them survive plague, famines, and high infant mortality rates, you'll win the game economically. Because wars aren't decided by swords. They're decided by whoever has the most money, and that's a fact. God bless the unwashed masses for sustaining the military-industrial complex of the Griffin Empire. Stronghold. They've got orcs, centaurs, wyverns, and women. They also get a cyclops, eventually. Unfortunately, they also have goblins. I have mixed feelings about these little shits. To help you understand, let me read you one of their abilities. Treachery. When the number of these creatures falls below below 30% of their original numbers, they change sides. Luckily, the rest of the faction more or less acknowledges that goblins are subhuman trash, which is great since you can sacrifice them directly to your shaman girls, use them as a tasty snack, or even as improvised living ammunition for your cyclops. It's an okay faction, a bit barren, and of course their music is terrible, but that's okay because I replaced all the Stronghold music.
Yes, 28 U.S. Marines pulling up in black Ford Raptor trucks, helicopters landed. Ram Ridge is under siege, under lockdown. U.S. Marines are gonna fuck Ram Ridge cowboy butts.
Much more immersive, I think you'll agree. Academy are the wizards. Their city is essentially just Dubai, except